Well, we'll wipe that clean because it's a Monday, and Monday means it's time for Sessions with Mary Jane.
Mhm.
I am your host, Jordan Freed.
I'm Reena Ezra.
And I'm Brendan O'Brien.
And we have a very, very special guest today, a personal friend of mine who it was good to see was releasing a project so that we could have him on. The artist known as Javique.
Hello.
Torres. Yeah.
Hi, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Here.
Musical artist, filmmaker, comedian, a multi-hyphenate. How are you?
I'm doing good. I also cook really well. So, we can just add that one in there. No, that's
actually you do cook really well because I think when I met you originally, I don't know if we started talking about this project, but you were definitely in early stages of like leftover chef type shows, cooking type shows, because you had your own shows that were hilarious, which like, I want you to send me a link to those because I could not find them. And I was like trying to dig through the internet. I just remember
are you talking about
like heat scraps?
Oh yeah, you're talking about the gruel videos. Cooking at Pete's house with Dante.
Yes, cooking at Pete's house with Dante. Well, any Sessions with Mary Jane episode has to have a challenge for our guests just to do in the background, just to give them a little mental exercise so that they live longer and stay wiser. So just in the background, name as many TV chefs as you can,
TV chefs, just kind of throughout the episode.
Got it. Yeah. Anytime you want. Yeah.
All right. Well, first off, I'm going to hit you guys with Bobby Flay. Second off, I'm going to hit you guys with Gordon Ramsay, and then I'm going to give you guys more as we go. I just wanted to get the first two just out there. But now you guys got me thinking.
Well, I figured we should start with your culinary origins. You grew up in a garbage plate of a place, right?
Oh yeah, so yes, I am. I'm from Rochester, New York.
Oh my God!
No, that's what they're known
delicacy.
For. That's like
they're known for a dish called the garbage plate, which is, as it sounds, horrifying to look at, very delicious to eat, horrifying to have eaten.
What does it consist of?
So it's just, honestly, it is good, but so you have a base layer, right? And so the best garbage plate is not even on a plate. It's in a styrofoam like clamshell. You have a base layer of hash brown potatoes.
Okay.
And macaroni salad. Some people like to substitute the mac salad with baked beans. I think that's wrong, but that is their decision. On top of that base layer, you either get 2 hamburger patties or 2 split open hot dogs. And then on top of that, you have just like this like healthy drizzle of a spicy meat sauce with Greek origins. It originated with a guy named Nick Tahoe, who, well, the restaurant was called Nick Tahoe's, but it basically the meat sauce kind of derived from like this Greek immigrants kind of meat sauce recipe. And then they were like, let's put it on top of all this stuff. And so it's kind of the go-to place where any time of the day, if you're in Rochester, New York, you can have a garbage plate. The older, like every year past being a teenager, like the less often you should be eating them, like within a single year.
But you're no longer there. Now you're in New Orleans now. Is this where you are?
Yeah, so I live in New Orleans now. I moved, I grew up in Rochester, went to college in Rochester, and then moved to New Orleans after college and linked up with some homies that I had kind of met, abroad and stuff. My friend Frank Spiro, who Jordan knows as well. He kind of brought me down to New Orleans. He was like, man, you should consider moving to New Orleans. And he had this short film. And that's actually where Jordan and I first met. He brought me down to run sound for one of his short films. And, I kind of met a lot of Frank's friends, became friends with a lot of Frank's friends, and, just kind of fell into a social circle situation, that was very, very beneficial for someone just moving to a new city.
Wow. What did you fall in love with when you started living in New Orleans? Your first.
So my desire has always been to be a creative, you know, specifically for a long time that meant to me being a filmmaker. And, you know, looking at, you know, so getting ready to graduate college, it's like, okay, you can either do LA or New York. Like that's where you go to make those things happen. And I just felt the sense of wanting to do things my way. You know, just things a little bit differently, a place where I can try and fail without having to pay, you know, $1 million in rent.
True. True.
And there is like actually a booming film industry in New Orleans. So like there's a lot of film work happening. I happened to move right at the time in this like 3-year window where they took away all the work, all the tax incentives. So like I picked the perfect time to arrive because there was actually not much of it for me. But yeah, you know, my time in New Orleans has really been just kind of, it's so much, as an artist, you're so free to experiment and try things. And there's like so many venues that are willing to support artists who like, you know, are just trying to commit and, you know, give their all to, you know, something.
Yeah, no, that I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah. What is like the closest thing to a garbage plate that they have in New Orleans, whether it be like the iconicism or just like the quality itself?
Good question.
The closest thing to a garbage plate in New Orleans is, well, I think what New Orleans understands is the idea of the plate being a styrofoam clamshell. So when you get like a plate of red beans and rice, you're getting a styrofoam shell where half of it is rice, half of it is red beans, and then you got some like fried chicken or hot sausage on top of it. So in terms of lots of foods being condensed and put on top of each other, like New Orleans, it's like you can name like most dishes are that, you know?
Yeah, they get to it. That is your
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember your first experience cooking? Like who taught you or what you cooked?
So my first cooking love, it was 2 things. One was breakfast food. I used to, once I figured out a toaster, I was like, hey mom, happy Mother's Day. Here's a piece of toast. Love you. Piece of toast. You know, moved into being able to cook eggs. And then over the summers, my sister and I would kind of, you know, we would just like hang out at home and we would just see how many chocolate chips we could fit into a pancake. Like we would just like experiment in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, because, you know, whatever, we didn't have money. We couldn't order food. We're kind of in a suburban spot. So there wasn't any like where to like walk to. So we're just like, fuck it. Let's see what we can fuck around with. And then the next thing was the level up was getting a George Foreman grill and making cheeseburgers, because I don't know if you guys know, but it's a thing. I really do feel like there is a cheeseburger kit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I feel like
we still have
as a kid, cheeseburgers were like very much ingrained in my personality. Just like how I carried myself in the world was like being a cheeseburger kid.
Okay.
I loved cheeseburgers, you know?
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that eventually evolved into, you know.
Well, I'm going to ask you a very controversial question then. What is the best burger in New Orleans, according to you?
Ooh. Oh, here's the thing. It's not controversial. It's actually very easy. My neighbor, my homie, Fredo, he runs a burger pop-up called Burger Nerds. They focus on smash burgers, just like really like well-seasoned, just like classic smash burgers, but then he also hits the smash burgers with queso. And he's just, you know, it's just like consistent, very good, classic, just like a true burger. So that's what I would say. I would say that for like the like just sticking to the roots of a burger. As far as like a fine dining burger, I do find myself partial to the Toops Meadery burger.
Ooh, all right.
Which they do, you know, I've been to that restaurant a few times, and you know, Isaac Toops, like he's been on like fucking like Munchies and Vice and stuff. Like he's like kind of like popping as a chef, which is really cool to see. So you go to the restaurant and it's like, okay, I can maybe afford one of these appetizers. But he does they do a chef special lunch, which is a burger, fried boudin balls, house made chips, and a beer for like $20. It's an amazing deal and such an amazing burger. Oh my god, it's out of control. They get you with, I mean, brioche bun, obviously, kind of a thicker, smaller, you know, patty of just like, you know, why you beef is. I feel like that's like a new thing, which you know, whatever. I don't understand the intricacies of beef that well, but you know. And then they got the pickled thinly sliced summer squash.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
It's making my
goodness.
plant-based mouth water.
I know, for real. Yeah, like listeners at home, you're probably also getting the munchies
Sounds
right now
really
listening
good.
to this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we just started. We're starting with food. Where do we go from here? Who did you like watching on TV growing up? Were there your own personal like TV chefs where you're like, like you said, Bobby Flay, he's on at 5 o'clock. I gotta go home and I have to watch this.
I have to watch Bobby
I
Flay
gotta
beat
write
people.
this down. I gotta write down his recipes.
Honestly, as far as like chef growing up with, it's all about Gordon Ramsay, man. Hell's Kitchen was such a great show.
Yeah, it was.
And actually, right at the beginning of the pandemic, my girlfriend and I, we had just started watching Kitchen Nightmares, which is an insane show because that first season is all like right before the Great Recession. Like it's all like 2007, and it's like these people already have a failing restaurant. It's like, oh no, things are about to get so much worse for you.
That's high stakes. That's really high stakes.
Yeah. Oh my god, there was one episode where the guy had managed to get his parents-in-law to be the ones paying for his restaurant, and like the restaurant was like failing big time. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, like you got the whole family just like tied in this.
Yeah.
You better start cleaning your refrigerator then, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god, that's the thing. The family bit, like they're going down with the ship, and you're just like, I also love it when people just like, I don't know if it was, I don't remember which episode, but when like somebody dropped food on the floor and they just picked it up and continued cooking with it. And he sees it, and Ramsey's like, Gordon Ramsay, you know he's gonna flip a shit, and you're like, oh my god, you get like, yeah, it gets me excited, but also with that.
You know what's interesting that I've heard, and I've actually never followed up or done any research, but I've heard that the shows that he does in the UK, like he's actually a lot chiller. It's that he plays it up for the American shows because American audiences like it, I guess, to watch service workers be berated.
I also heard that,
traps.
Yeah. I think there definitely is a PR move to that for sure, because it's focused on ratings, right? Who's gonna watch what TV, and they know what market or what viewers they're catering to.
Yeah. Also, Simon Cowell proved that Americans love watching angry British people say snarky things to Americans. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's nothing America loves more than a like really terse, sarcastic British person.
Yeah, we have this like weird dominatrix. Yeah, we have this like weird dominatrix relationship with England because it's like they used to be our parent country. We separated, but we like getting punished by them.
Yes. Give me my freedom, but yell at me.
Come on, the key to harbor.
Tell me what I'm doing wrong, but stay over there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Speaking of music,
okay. Yeah.
I was gonna ask when did you start working on this project and this act? When
so
did it begin?
Oops All Bangers is the name of the mixtape I'm dropping. It's very much excuse me. I started recording rap in 2018. I started writing and like taking it seriously. You know, I'd always, been extremely interested in the genre, but I was just always too timid to like sit down and like actually write something out for more than like half an hour without feeling embarrassed. So like I've always dabbled with rap, but just like never really felt confident enough with it. And then 2018, you know, I'd been in New Orleans for a couple of years, and I was running, you know, I was helping to run this backyard variety show where, you know, we're seeing a lot of kind of artists who weren't normally getting stage time, like be able to take like huge creative risks. And I was like, you know what, like this feels like the right community to try something like this, you know, with, you know. And so I started writing, you know, for a couple of years, recording a little bit, but I knew it wasn't there yet. And then the pandemic hit, and it was kind of like, oh man, I need to at least put out one of these things, or else, you know, it was very like a doomerism mentality that kind of fueled me to be like, I got to put stuff out there, you know? But so I put out my first song in 2020, and, you know, ever since I've just kind of consistently been writing and releasing, you know, singles, you know, the odd music video every once in a while, which is great because I can make my own music videos, you know. So like I edit like, and, you know, create a lot of my own outside music content.
Yeah. What's the experience like of directing your own music videos?
So the first music video I released was the video kind of, I was completely by myself in the video because like it was very much mid-pandemic, like isolation was like a huge aspect of it. So like I just kind of had the idea to take my phone, you know, and film like kind of cinematic angles of solitude.
So this is your Bo Burnham inside.
Exactly. Like it was kind of an inside thing. And like I you know, and so like I'd gotten a couple shots here or there. And one, you know, day I was like, you know what, let me mix up a little magic mushroom tea, you know, let me just like really sink into this moment. And I'm doing that, and then, you know, listening to the song on repeat, obviously. And then at a certain point, I'm just like scrolling on my phone, and I'm like going through my photo reel, and I'm like looking at all these videos I've shot, you know, just around my time. Cause like I felt like there wasn't enough to this video that I was shooting. And then I realized like, oh, I've been shooting this music video for like 3 years. So very much like the video is just kind of, it's a mixture of like kind of these cinematic moments that I like design, and then like clips from just like life, you know what I mean?
And so fun, yeah, I like that.
And so like that felt like a huge breakthrough, and I feel like that's been like kind of how I like to approach a lot of my stuff. The video I put out last summer, OTW, was actually directed by my good friend Trevor, and it was me and another rapper in New Orleans, Daniel Masterpiece Jones, and God, that was fun because like it was kind of like a very much a collaborative effort, you know, and it came out so silly, and yeah, just like a really good time. We had a really good time, and we like, you know, we had like a little bit of a budget on that one, which was like kind of scary because it was like, you know, and then what? You know?
What did you specifically enjoy about collaboration?
I think, honestly, as a person, just like I love storytelling, but I love hearing people's stories, and like I like kind of like, I don't like always necessarily, you know, even though I'm trying to, you know, whatever, be a rapper, I don't like being like always the center of everything. Like I like to hear what other people are bringing to things, because like I tend to think that a lot of people probably have better ideas than I do, you know, and I'm trying to see what else, you know, what else people are bringing to the table. So it's just like a curiosity, and just like how, you know, how other people view kind of artistic situations and just situations in general, which I really enjoy.
So what musicians do you like stylistically?
Stylistically, I would say I'm trying to merge together like three artists, you know, that I really like. I think that Mac Miller was a huge inspiration, and especially, you know, when he passed the way he did, like that was like a sense of grief that I had never felt before. And I was like honestly shocked by it. Like I was shocked by how much I like grieved for Mac Miller, you know?
Wow.
And I think just like the kind of music that he was making and like the direction he was going, I think what Mac brings to the table, brings to the table, and like what made him like so unique, because it is such a difficult and tricky position, you know, to be a white rapper. But I think what Mac Miller managed to capture with his music was just like a full, unapologetic, and just like real showing of who he is. Because I think that's how like, I think people get in trouble when they get into hip hop, because they get into it for the wrong reasons and they want to represent the wrong things, and they want, you know, and so like I think like an intense and just like naked honesty of who you are, and having that be like the focus of your music, like I think that's how you know, make a space for yourself in the genre of hip hop without, you know, feeling like you're like appropriating or like doing, you know, the wrong thing, or just kind of like exploiting it for a buck, you know?
For sure.
And I really liked that about Mac Miller, that it felt, you know, like especially his, you know, it just felt like he was very much, it was the love of the culture that was propelling him.
It was authentic. It was his genuine self.
Exactly. It was just like his genuine self. Same thing with Kid Cudi, you know, that's what I like that he brought to the table. And, you know, the experimentation he does with his voice and his melodies have been hugely influential on me. You know, I was like a huge Kid Cudi stan in high school. So it's like, you know, in certain ways, it's like, I want to do what he did. You know what I mean? It's like kind of silly, but it's like, you know, I think he just like, he brings a certain level of like, his music is very much trying to be aspirational and inspirational. And then this is kind of a more niche artist, but someone who I am really inspired by is this rapper named Kool-Aid, who he was a part of the rap duo Das Racist. Do you guys, they did like combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. You know that one?
I'd have
like,
to go back and listen.
Like, I mean, the song is like stupid. It's like they're literally like, I'm at the Pizza Hut, I'm at the Taco Bell, I'm at the combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. But it's so tight, and like they were such a dope group, and like he's honestly, I think Kool-Aid is like, he's extremely prolific. Like he's like constantly like, the past few years he just like is releasing like these 100-song albums on Bandcamp, and you know, he has like, you know, kind of like a small but like cult following. Wow. And I just think he's such a talented lyricist, and it's just like, damn, he just like his music is very much just like playing with words and concepts and ideas, and like being esoteric but like being dope at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so like I feel like those are the kind of like three energies that I feel like I bring with me into, you know, my own personal creative journey with music.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. What has it been like? Have you done any other shows, or just the backyard show? Have you like been around the scene? Has it been fun interacting with like New Orleans artists?
Yeah, so I also do stand-up. So honestly, most of the shows I've done around New Orleans have all been comedy shows, which I really enjoy. I love the New Orleans comedy scene. It's really great. And we actually got a shot, which was like really fun. The show Local Uproar, who it's like an 8-year-long running show. They perform at this place called Always Lounge, which is such a dope venue.
Yeah.
And we booked a situation where it was their weekly comedy show, so myself and Daniel Masterpiece Jones, to promote like our, you know, new song, we both did our own stand-up sets, and then we closed the show out with a music set. Okay. And it was sick. And like that's the thing that bums me out about the pandemic, is that like the pandemic kind of did take away the backyard show ultimately, because you know, it just kind of it never happened again after the pandemic. And it's like, damn, that was like the space that like I always wanted to do it in, and you know, I wasn't able to. So like being able to kind of do the comedy, but also do the music in the same venue in the same night and like crush it, like have like a great show, and like everybody's so hyped at the end. Like it was so much fun. You know, I kind of am excited to get back into that, which I'm going to do once this project is released. You know, my plan is to start performing it in places.
Nice.
And yeah, I didn't mean to discount your comedy either. You're a great stand-up. What are some of your favorite spots to tell some jokes, tell some funnies? We definitely have a lot of comics on here, but we definitely love hearing about the New Orleans scene. The
New Orleans scene is fun. You know, there's a lot of great open mics in this town, which is cool. I really love 12 Mile Limit, the Bear With Me open mic at 12 Mile Limit. That's always been like a really close one to me, just like in proximity. Like I used to be able to walk to it, which was sick.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's just like, it's like a very like, it's a more welcoming environment than I feel like you imagine an open mic to be. And so for that reason, you know, when I was first starting out and like fucking failing miserably in front of these people, it didn't feel like, you know, it still felt okay. It was like, hey, you gave it a shot, you know? And like, there are places where it's like, and in comedy, you do need to fail. It's not like, you know, if they didn't like it, they didn't laugh, but you know, it wasn't like, there was the sense that like everybody there was like, you know, just in aura of supporting each other doing this craft, you know?
Pretty dope to have people drinking on a Monday too.
Exactly, which that's the thing, man. People are drinking every night. So there's going to be people at the bar every night in New Orleans. So there's a open mic every night. That's an intense run. I think like the longest run I've strung together is 3 nights in a row. And then by the end of it, it's like, you know, it's like, I got to go to work in the morning though.
Yeah. Different when you're an adults doing open mics. I'm finding out.
Exactly.
I have much respect to the hardcore adults who can do it.
It's you know, but it's fun. I like doing stand-up a lot, and it's what I like about stand-up is just the immediacy. And I think that's ultimately because, you know, I do have all of these things I'm super into, you know, but I think like, you know, ultimately like I love filmmaking and like I would love to make a film, but I understand that, you know, that's not like, there's not an immediacy to like making like a true blue movie, you know what I mean? So like there's other things I want to do that kind of like scratch that itch, while, you know, I mean, and also things that I feel passionate about.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of films, what are some of your faves? What are some that you also saw when you were younger and that just latched onto you and you're like, oh.
So 2 films, like this was probably the double feature that like I carry with me the most. I just think about a lot. My dad told us about the movie Alien and then the movie Aliens with Sigourney Weaver. And my dad does not know how to pitch movies when he's trying to get you to watch, because that moment where the alien pops out of the guy's chest, that is a moment that if you can help not knowing that that's about to happen, it's going to make the movie so much better. But literally my dad is like, oh my God, there's this one movie we got to watch where this guy starts coughing and then this alien explodes out of him. So it's like,
he tells you what happened.
Yeah, it's like, Dad, come on, like literally any movie, it's like his pitch to you, the thing that makes it interesting to him is literally like the twist, you know. It's literally like the thing that should be enjoyed for the first time.
Yeah, that's the hook for him though. Yeah.
My dad would be a terrible, like, you know, film trailer editor, you know.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Where this movie ends. Like,
is that usually your genre you gravitate to? Sci-fi,
horror, less sci-fi and more, I feel, well, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like sci-fi and horror are so ingrained. Like, I mean, I think a lot about how, you know, science fiction kind of delves into the existential, which, you know, can ultimately be a little bit horror. So, but I like that, you know, I like that kind of what science fiction does in terms of like being commentary on you know, the world we live in while also being otherworldly and like it, you know, a completely separate world. Horror is also, you know, a lot of fun too. I like watching zombie movies. 28 Days Later is another movie that like, oh God, that movie was just like, in terms of just how I thought about films, like 28 Days Later just felt so different, you know, like it was very much like a artistic zombie movie, which I don't think has really truly been attempted since. Like I think like they made the art house zombie, like what other, you know, I would like to see more art house zombie movies because it's like 28 Days Later was just so effective.
Yeah, it was. What's up? Do you enjoy the feeling of getting scared, or do you even get scared from watching horror movies after watching as many as you have?
I used to get so scared I couldn't sleep at night. But the more I learn about the process of filmmaking, the more I'm like, a scare is like, I love what they did there. Like,
yeah,
like I stopped using the term scary and I just start using the term effective. It's like, ooh, they got me with that one. But no, I remember the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead movie. Just made me feel so uneasy because then at the end, like, you know, you think it's a happy ending because they get off in their boat and then in the credits you're seeing like clips from this camcorder they have on with them, and by the end of the credits they arrive at this island and there's just more zombies and it's like over. It's like, oh, like just like to not have a happy ending like destroyed me as a child. I was probably too young to be watching this. And also, maybe it was a valuable lesson to learn is that there aren't always happy endings. Sometimes you get to the place and there's more fucking zombies. Sorry.
Yeah. If someone ran into your room right now and was like, oh my God, the zombies are out here, we have to go, what are the 5 things you're grabbing right now without thinking about it?
Man, see, that's the thing though. That's the question about the zombies is, man,
you're thinking too hard
with this shit. Fucking zombies, like, or do I just want to fucking just, you know, jump out the window and just take me, fuck it. There aren't enough. I feel like because, like, you know, I think 28 Days Later actually has a moment like that where he goes to his parents' house and like his parents just basically like committed suicide, you know, instead of being taken by the zombies, which I think is a fair option. It's like, you know, you don't have to deal with these fucking zombies. This is horrible. And even if you find like, because there's one thing if it's in a movie, you know, and then there's some sort of an ending, but it's like in life, man, you just, now this is fucking life now. God damn.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. Honestly, that's the most realistic part about The Walking Dead is that the whole thing is that it just keeps going on and on.
It's like, oh, I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah, no, that's why after season 4, you're just like, oh my God, yeah, zombies aren't even the problem. They're just having internal wars between humans. Like it's just a problem.
It's so stressful. It's like, man, I miss TikTok. Come on.
Yeah.
How long do you think TikTok stays up during a zombie apocalypse? That's the question. Because if I'm watching zombie TikToks, I might be safe for like a couple days if I'm just like locked in my house.
I'd say they stay up as long as there are cell towers.
As long as the electric still works. There'll be more TikToks than ever.
I'd say as long as the grid still works.
Yeah.
As long as they always see like a post-apocalyptic zombie thing, like always it's just like shit's broken. There's always like, you know, you can't get any more service or something happens like as if zombies are rats and they eat through the wires. Like maybe, but it is, I guess because it's not fully, I mean, at this stage you would think like, oh, satellite, the cloud, whatever, but I guess it's still people running it, so there's zombies and it's just like, oh, there's nobody there. Like, so now who's running the whatever? Like, who's telling my news on the TV if you're all zombies now? But with your education in film, like how much you know about film, your involvement in film, do you get a little, I'm not frustrated, like, I don't know, bummed or something that it kind of has broken the like when you would watch films when you were a kid versus now, and you understand the components behind it, does that kind of break the movie magic for you? Because you do.
It doesn't. It doesn't, because the only time, like, the best movies do it in a way where you don't notice that the movie is doing something. True. So like there's
you're not calling out the Foley as it's happening.
Huh?
You're not calling out the Foley as it's happening. That's a brilliant.
No, you know, it's not on that level. It's like yeah, exactly, right. And so like if I'm noticing it, that means like something was either pretty bad or like fucking amazing, and I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for the most part, you know, I feel, with as much as I know, like I also like love kind of like getting sucked into the world. At the same time though, it's in the movie theater where that happens for me, because my attention span has been so fucked by my phone that like I can't watch a whole movie in my house. I just like I can't. I have to attempt to put my phone in another room, and even then it's like I will somehow like zombie-ly walk over and like, grab my phone and look at it. It's like, oh man, that part does suck to me, but I still love going to the movie theater and seeing movies in the theater. And then that's when, you know, that's when it's pure movie magic, baby.
Yeah, we always have to have theaters, honestly, because we need that separation of space. We need that. Even people who have at-home movie theaters, and you're like, oh, I can set up a projector. I got these cool seats. Your phone's still there. It's not,
too much power.
It's different. Yeah, you still have too much power. You're the one who's running it behind your. Yeah, it's also having theaters. It is like you walk in, the smell of popcorn. You get you have to go there. You got to walk up the steps. The lights dim. The sound is amazing. It's maybe put a Dolby. You're like, I can get Dolby sound in my apartment. I mean, maybe with some speakers.
Yeah.
It's not.
And it's like, but also it would bother my neighbors. Yeah, that was honestly my favorite part of the new Batman movie, was the moment where the Batmobile like first gets revealed, and that shit was rumbling the theater. Like I was like, oh, this is great. That Batmobile was mean. I loved it. Did you guys see the Batman?
Yes.
Yeah. Where does that rank for you among the Batman canon of movies?
Honestly, you know, as a lot of people are, big fan of The Dark Knight. I do think the way that The Dark Knight has aged, and also just this movie's specific approach to the concept of Batman as a superhero, I just thought it was a more effective Batman story. And like, The Dark Knight is great. It has some weird, like, I feel like the politics of The Dark Knight are kind of weird, which is basically like, this guy's he's sometimes, you know, you gotta monitor everybody's phone calls.
Definitely.
But, you know, because some of these guys, they just want to watch the world burn, you know, so. But I mean, obviously, you know, Heath Ledger is great in that movie, but I think Christopher Nolan is kind of not that great of an action director. So there are a lot of the action sequences of The Dark Knight are like really terrible. Like it doesn't make sense what is actually going on. Like sometimes it's like visually very confusing. And I thought, you know, this movie had like the atmosphere was so cool. And you know, Robert Pattinson. I like Robert Pattinson as Batman. And Batman was scary. Batman was scary in this movie.
Yeah, that eyeshadow.
Yeah.
It was definitely a new take. Also, for more history and context, stuff you were given about his family, the background, the brother. Like there was definitely, which was, I mean, for it being the length of almost 3 hours. Was it officially 3 hours?
Just under 3 hours.
Yeah, it was 3 hours.
For as long as it was, I was hoping to get some more information where I was just like, oh, the Arkhams. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. His mom. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's new take. But yeah, also how he performed as Batman, which was like their focus was different than I think any other Batman they've had.
Sure.
It stood out.
Like the shit he was like, literally just like the shit he was doing with his eyes. It's like, damn. Oh, Robert Pattinson, what a hunk.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any character from literature or comic books or just anything that you've seen in the past that you would love to, if you had the opportunity to make a film adaptation of that, like maybe that it hasn't been done or maybe it's been done poorly?
That is a good question. I think,
Well,
I don't know.
I'll throw it out.
No, he's got it.
It's because I have like one thought, which is like something I do genuinely really want to make. It's not based on anything other than a story that my dad told me about from his childhood. But a friend of mine was like, "Ooh, how crazy would that story be as like a comic book?" Which I think is sick. You know, I can't draw, so it's like I'd have to figure out a way to turn it into a comic book. But basically, my dad had just moved to Rochester, you know, and at the time, you know, it was like very like Rochester is a super segregated city, you know, and so like it was kind of like the you know, the Puerto Ricans and like, you know, Black families and like, you know, kind of all, you know, all kind of in one area. And then like there were also like Italians and like there was like a lot of beef between Puerto Ricans and Italians. That's not that important though. What is important is that they played baseball. They had church leagues and school leagues and all this stuff. And my dad was a part of his church's baseball team. They were maybe 14, 15. And all the other teams, you know, like they had been funded for a while. Like this was very much like my dad's team was like Puerto Rican Bad News Bears for a church. And so like they could only afford these embroidered jerseys that just said CC on them. And CC was their church, Corpus Christi. They show up to their first game and the kids on the other team are like, you know, talking shit. And they're like, what does CC stand for? And the kids on my dad's team are like, the Crash Crew. And like it was very much like just the way he made it seemed like that summer was like 75% baseball and like 20% street brawls. Which would be a fucking sick comic, I feel like the Warriors meets Bad News Bears, but in comic book form.
Wow. That's the pitch right there.
Yeah.
And then an alien comes out of the chest.
Yeah, and then
flip it on its head. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so in terms of adaptation, like adapting just like a story I've been told just like amongst my family is a big dream of mine.
That's cool. That's neat. Yeah. Because that, I mean, those are the stories that only get passed down or only have like the light shed on them if you do continue telling those stories. Otherwise, they leave with the last generation if nobody passes that story, shares them outside of your circle or anything. And and nobody else can take that story because that is unique to your family.
Exactly.
Yeah. How was it growing up in that community then for you personally?
So my dad and my mom, you know, when they had us, they had kind of moved, you know, kind of into Greece, New York, which is more suburban, you know, situation. And so like I actually didn't like a lot of my peers were just kind of, you know, the white suburban kids. And like I would see my cousins and like family at like gatherings and stuff. But like the way it just kind of, because we have like a huge family, like my dad's side of the family, my abuela had 12 children and my dad was one of them. My dad was the 11th child. And so like, as you can imagine, just millions of cousins, like hordes of cousins, and just the cohort of cousins that the way it had worked, right? Because like all the cousins would hang out with each other and stuff. And like, you know, we're all close, but my sister and I, because we were born a year apart, so we're a package deal in terms of hanging out. But there was kind of a cohort of cousins that were just like a little bit older, kind of later teenagers, didn't really want to hang out with the little kids. And then there was a cohort of cousins that was like, you know, just like literal small children, babies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like, it was kind of, it always felt kind of weird going to family gatherings and stuff, and even family feeling like the slightest bit, you know, alienated. Because it would be, you know, these huge gatherings. And so, yeah, I think what I have always enjoyed about the big family gatherings and like having such a big family is that, you know, when we do all get together, like, you know, they all have so many stories about like how they grew up and like just, you know, things they went through, and like, you know, they all have such great storytelling styles that like as a kid and even as a teenager and even now, you know, I like to just listen on the conversations, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I like almost spoke up, you know, I spoke up, like my cousin Raymond was like telling a story, and I was like, I have a story about that. But I said it kind of quietly, and I didn't think anybody heard me. And so then I was like, you know, I just kind of like receded back. But then, you know, the whole table was quiet, and then they're all looking at me like, what's your story about that? And I'm like, in that moment was like, didn't think anybody heard me, and now they're putting pressure on me. And it's like, I forgot, actually. I don't actually have a story. So, you know, I think the more I live life and you know, grow up and meet people and go on whatever journey I'm going on, the more I can kind of come to that table and actually have stories to tell, which is a lot of fun.
You'll have a big audience, because obviously it's a lot of family members. Do you only have one sibling, or is there
I have two siblings. So I have a sister who was born 14 months after I was, and then my youngest brother was born 10 years later. So there's kind of like my sister and I, and then my little brother who was born when, you know, we're like 11 and 10 years old. And so like even through that age gap though, like we all as siblings, we're all like really tight and really close, which is really cool.
That is cool. Yeah, I have a brother who's 10 years younger. Yes. So totally. Were you trying to like, you know, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just like fun to be able to tap in with Gen Z and just like really be on the ground, like seeing what's going on.
Yeah, otherwise you're completely separate and you just don't. But do you feel like there is just a language, you know, barrier? Like not a physical, obvious language barrier, but like a cultural thing where just they say or do stuff and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? What is happening?
Honestly, like, I don't think so. Like,
so you're just more hip.
My brother and I are like very like, what? Sorry, what was
no,
that?
I'm just saying, so you're more hip. I'm clearly just old.
No, it's just, it's not even about being hip. I just feel like my little brother, like we're very similar in personality and also like kind of in taste. So my brother, you know, kind of, you know, is with it, but like also kind of an outsider with it, you know what I mean? So it's like my brother isn't out here like doing TikTok dances or, you know, like, but like they are doing it. He is doing it like ironically though, like he's very much like kind of got that sense of humor of like kind of like more of like that ironic detachment kind of situation, which, you know, you love to see it.
Yeah. Do you feel like it would have been different if you had a sibling 10 years younger who was a girl?
So that's where it gets, it's interesting, right? Because my brother was, you know, my brother was born a girl. And so he is trans, so like he is, you know, transitioning.
I'm sorry,
he is a boy.
I'm sorry.
And so it's so interesting because it's like I never, you know, I just like kind of like always understood that to be the I you know, I knew my, you know, little brother, or, you know, I knew he was, you know, not like all the other kids, you know what I mean? Like in terms of like the kind of stuff he was into, you know, and stuff like that. So if, you know, I had like a younger sister who kind of, you know, I think it's an important perspective, so it's like, it would be cool to have, God, I'm so stoned. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of
no. That was totally my misstep. I was unaware and I couldn't necessarily ask the question, but I do feel it is very, very cool. It doesn't matter whoever the person is.
Right.
They are fortunate to, you guys, for having the connection you have, that it doesn't, necessarily make a difference whatever the gender is, whether it's a he or she today, because you are so close knit and growing up and, having whatever similarities and it is kind of them opening the door or the vortex to you to specifically their generation. Because
exactly,
wouldn't think there'd be 10 years is a difference, no matter what. It is like an age gap, but they are, I feel like my younger brother definitely is just really mature with stuff too. And they are just very good with things. And they're very there is something where I feel like he's a lot more evolved than I was at that age. So that's amazing.
Well, and that's exactly, that's it. Like we obviously, we experienced a little bit of time without the internet, but they have always fully just been engulfed by the internet. And I think there is just a level of, when you talk to anybody 10 years younger, I don't know, maybe it's just my memory, but I don't remember, hearing the kind of vocabularies that current kids have. It's kind of cool, you know what I mean? It's damn, you guys are, you guys are all talking about stuff.
Yeah, to also applaud and admire, because your younger sibling and my younger brother, they definitely know their identity. I feel like they know who they are. I did not know who I was, still figuring that out, but I feel like they're a lot more confident, and know who they are and their identity and what they relate to and everything. And it is just more, it's just a stronger, I don't know what it is, but they're just so much more aware about it. It's remarkable, because I feel like that would just make your life so much easier if I knew I'm confident already.
Well, and that's what's so cool about having conversations with my younger brother, because when we talk about oh, did you watch this? Did you watch this? It very much is we truly get into this critical analysis, talking about themes and stuff like that. And it's this is shit I learned how to do in college, and I'm having this conversation with you when you're you're about to be a senior in high school. You know what I mean? It's wild. It's fucking hell yeah. Don't study film in college. You got it. Just use YouTube. You figured it out, okay? You did it for free.
That's true. They do have a plethora of resources, or more resources than we had, I guess. But that's for every generation, right? Because you have more resources than your parents had. You had a lot more at your disposal, things that you could, just a wealth of information that our parents did not have at that time.
Yeah. It's wild too, because it's that's what's so funny about, just because because my sister and I were kind of so much older, we left the house, we went to college, and so it's just so funny hearing about just how my dad, and it is still ultimately a teenager parent relationship. My parents are obviously very supportive of him, and are just fully affirm his identity, and just are great to be around. But there are still moments where it's just you aren't quite familiar with the intricacy, and it's frustrating, for him. So it's they do butt heads a lot. And it's but then at the same time, it's also it's how much of that is my dad, my parents are because they're trying to get it, and sometimes they don't know stuff. And then how much of that is just classic teenager parent dynamic of just oh, leave me alone, Mom.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think they'll ever get old. That will for always be the fabric of,
Teenagers always storm to their room angrily back in the cave days, and they'll do it 200 years in the future.
It's just hormones. I really think it's hormones. I think it's like teenagers can be monsters. And like, I'm sure we were monsters as teenagers. I can speak for myself, but.
Oh, I know for a fact that I was such a fucking asshole to my parents when I was a teenager, because like I would just be like, oh, you guys like that movie? Oh, like, you know, like, just the worst.
Yeah, and then you just grow up and you look back and you're like, why was I so severe with that?
Sorry, I was so mean to you guys.
Everything also seems so precious. Everything seems so big, and magnitude is so high. When you're a teen, you're just like, this is the ultimate, this is the be all or end all. Like, I can't, like, everything, what people say about me, what I'm into, whatever, like the scales just, it's different because I shrug things off more as we get older, because the significance isn't as, but I feel like everything becomes super significant when you're a teen, where you're just like,
absolutely. You start like fantasizing about making memories that look like a One Republic music video. Like,
wow.
Like, yeah, we're gonna be at this twinkly field and like dance, and it's gonna be like, you know, we're all gonna be really spaced out and good dancers, and there's gonna be a truck in the background. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Falling from stars.
Visual. Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we've talked a lot about high art. We've talked a lot about serious topics, light topics. What is your trash TV that you like to watch mindlessly?
Trash TV, it's been tough to so one thing, and my girlfriend and I butt heads about this constantly. I do like trashy TV. So my immediate answer is Jersey Shore. I have I remember hating it at first and then being like, okay, like what's up with Sammy and Ronnie? You know, like it is fun because like you realize that stuff is so much fun to watch with groups of people, and just like because now you're just privy to this mess and this drama. I think for a long time I used to just like resent trash TV and reality TV because it's like, oh, you know, like this is ruining the sanctity of whatever. But at the same time, you know, my girlfriend is like, yeah, I fucking work a hard job and I come home, I don't want to have to think about more stuff. Like I just want stuff to be happening, just like smoothing my brain out. And it's like, you know what? Actually, I understand the desire. It is, you know, it's crucial. But I'll say Jersey Shore, like Jersey Shore a lot. I have yet to sit down for a full season, but I feel like The Bachelorette is such a fantastic, like it makes sense that it's like the most popular show ever because it's like such a fantastic concept. And I like, you know, because like The Bachelor is like, you know, whatever. I think The Bachelor is okay. But I think what's cool about The Bachelorette is the idea that it's these 12, you know, or these 22 like juiced up bros being like, bro, you don't even care about like her emotional feelings. Like I just think that aspect of it is so fun.
I'm sure entertaining. Yeah. We'll just check back into your TV chefs list.
Yeah. Oh my God. TV chefs. I think, you know, Emeril Lagasse, bam. We love to see it. Rachel Ray, you know, she has fun guests on sometimes. I think she had a fun episode with Action Bronson, which I enjoyed watching. Shout out to Binging with Babish. He's not a TV chef, he's a YouTube chef. He's from Rochester, New York. If I could meet Binging with Babish one day, like I feel like that would be the height of like my star ladder climbing. You know what I mean? Like I would like to meet that man.
YouTube has TV, right? Whatever it's called, we'll count it.
Right.
Yeah. There's YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Honestly, screen.
Watching YouTube is almost the same as watching anything else.
You can get YouTube on your TV.
Yeah.
App, so
Honestly, YouTube is like over the pandemic, I got so good at cooking just because I was watching so much cooking content on YouTube. And so like the god of that shit, by the way, is J. Kenji Lopez Alt. He's like, he approaches shit from like a very food science perspective. And oh my God, like some of the recipes, like like it's all just like making perfect versions of like pretty simple things. Here's how you make a goddamn perfect steak, or like perfect roasted potatoes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I love that guy. That guy is a legend.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like it.
Do you have any more you want to add before we close out the session?
I think that's it. I think those are all the.
What's his number?
All the names I'll drop.
Well, you got a very spicy 6 TV chefs. Congratulations.
Oh, spicy 6.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
How did I do? How do I stack up against?
Well, everybody gets a different challenge. So you're your own challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is a different. I guess.
I think you're tied with 2 other people. So 2 other people have also gotten 6. So you are in good company.
Yeah, category is, yeah.
Hell yeah. Great. Well,
cool. So everybody should look out for Oops All Bangers. What else? Anything else that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on all the social medias with the same tag at It's Javique, ITSJAVIQUE. I've got a project on the way, Oops All Bangers. It is a mixtape, like a Dat Piff style mixtape. So like most of the songs are just kind of on beats that I really like, from like Kanye and Vince Staples and all that. And then there's a really great song at the end that I actually made with my best friend that is like, feels like a level up in terms of like my abilities. So keep your eyes out for Oops All Bangers. I'm very proud of that project. I think it's going to be fucking awesome for people to hear it. And yeah, follow me on the socials. You know, I'm on them. You know, I'm on the internet, baby. Yeah, that's it.
This is wonderful. Thank you again for being on the show. And as usual, audience, stay tuned for Late Night Hump sketch comedy and podcasts and films, and go to latenightHump.com. Peace out.